Time for math. Don't hit pause, don't hit stop. All right, we're going to go over this word problem. And this word problem will be on your assessment tomorrow. So if you watch the video, it's going to help you with the assessment tomorrow, and it's an assignment. So I know if you watch the video, so watch all of it. Don't pause me. Don't do anything weird. So just watch it, all right? Guess I'm talking to you. I don't know who I'm talking to, but anyway, it says engineering, a small bank vault is being designed in the shape of a rectangular prism. The vault sides and top should be all 3 feet thick. The outer length of the vault should be twice the outer width. The outer height should be the same as the outer width. What should the outer dimensions be of the vault be if it is to have 972 cubic feet of space? Your first thought may be, what in the world are we doing? But if you break it down, it's really not as bad as you think. Let's draw a rectangular prism. We're just talking about a rectangle. So I'm going to draw a rectangle, and let's see, something like this. Okay. And there's my rectangle. All right, good enough. All right, so that's my rectangular prism. It's like a box, okay? It talks about the vault sides and top should be, so it's thinking of the sides. So I'm referring to, this is the sides, and that's your sides. It says the vault sides and top should all be 3 feet thick and top. So the top part is, if I could do this, that's all 3 feet thick. All right. It says the outer length of let's focus on the outer length first, and then we'll get to that, the thickness of this. So if I focus on it says the outer length of the vault should be twice the outer width. Uh-oh, Siri's speaking to me. Turn off the cell phone. All right, so the outer length, let me go back. All right, the outer height, go back. The outer length of the vault should be twice the outer width. So you got to focus on something. So let's call this my outer width. We'll call that X. And it says the outer height should be the same as the outer width. So the outer height is going to be the same. So we're going to call this X. But it says the outer length of the vault should be twice the outer width. So if this is the length and this is the width, it says the length is twice the width. We're talking about the outer. We're not even thinking about the thickness yet. So this is 2x. That's the outer part of it. Making sense so far? All right, cool. So next, it says something about the thickness. It says the vault sides and top should all be 3 feet thick. So we're saying the side, this right here, let's draw that in blue. This is kind of hard to visualize. We're saying this, the thickness of this. Y'all can visualize this. This is 3 feet thick. It's 3 feet. Okay. If that's 3 feet, it says I need to find what should the outer dimensions be. Well, what I need to do is write some true statements. So I need to find, let me see, the dimensions of this. And the best way to do that is look at the dimensions of the inner part of, remember this part right here is solid. You can visualize this actually on the bottom. But you got to visualize just the inner part. If you could take this and flip it over, and this would actually be the top, because it said this right here is all glass right here, the thickness. So what I need to do is find the inner dimensions. Let's go with the length. What is the length right here? The inner dimension of the length. I know the thickness is 3, and this is 3. So the whole thing is 2x. So that's going to be 2x minus 6. That's one dimension. Okay, let's look at another dimension. Let's go with the width. If I go with the width, the thickness for the width, well, the whole thing is x. I know this thickness is 3. This thickness is 3. So it's going to be x minus 3. So it's going to be x minus, what's wrong? I can't add. That's 3 and 3, that's 6. So that's x minus 6. So the width is x minus 6. So I'm going to label this as width. And the other part is the length. Label that as length. And next I need my height. What's the height? Well, if I'm looking at the height, we're talking about this, right? If I think about the thickness here, at the bottom of this, there is no thickness. At the bottom of the height, it's only at the top for the height. So the top has a thickness of 3. So the height is going to be x minus 3. And those are your dimensions. So that's your length, width, and height. I want to take this, and it says what should the outer dimension of the vault be if it is to have 972 cubic feet of space? Well, we're talking about the volume. And remember, volume is going to be length times width times height. So I'm going to take this and write out my equation. 2x minus 6 times x minus 6 times x minus 3. That's my equation, equals 972. Because whenever you're solving an equation, you're writing out a true statement. All right, so now I just got to, what in the world? So I just got to multiply this all out. Let's see. It doesn't really matter where you start. I'm going to multiply these first. Only because it looks easier. It doesn't really matter. So I want to do 2 at a time. So I multiply this. I'm going to distribute. So you're going to have x squared minus 3x minus 6x plus 18. And I'm just multiplying these two. Like terms, x squared minus 9x plus 18. Now I'm going to bring down my 2x minus 6. And I need to multiply this out. Still equal to 972. So now I want to distribute 2x times x squared. Let me see, I wrote this out over here. Just to make sure I'm not making any mistakes. That's 2x cubed. And then 2x times 9x, which is minus 18x squared. 2x times 18 plus 36x. Now I'm back over here. Negative 6 times x squared. Negative 6x squared. Negative 6 times negative 9x, which is 54x. And then negative 6 times 18, which is negative a number, 108. And all of this is equal to 972. Okay? And the great thing about the video, you can just pause me if I'm going too fast. Let's see if I can move this out of the way. Okay, I can't. All right. Collect like terms. So now you're going to have 2x cubed. So if you're yelling at the computer, please stop, okay? Stop yelling at the computer. That's a problem. All right, so negative 18 minus 6, that's negative 24x squared, 36 and 54. What was that, 90? Plus 90x. And then notice this. I'm going to go ahead and do this in one step. I'm going to subtract 972 on both sides. Minus 972. That's going to give me negative 1080 equals 0. So now I have this monster here. So I'm going to erase some of this. Actually, let's do this. Go here. I'm going to get rid of the word problem. That'll give me some space. So I'm going to go up here. And this is the part on your quiz, on your assessment tomorrow, you'll do a lot of factoring. So refresh your memory on factoring. But I picked one that's probably one of the hardest ones so that you can factor. And we may do a few more here. But remember factoring. All right. To factor this, you're going to use factor by grouping. You're going to group the first two because we have 4 terms. If y'all remember this from way back, not that long ago. So now I'm going to take this. Greatest common factor is what? 2x squared. So 2x squared Factor it out, I'm left with x minus 12. Plus, over here, my greatest common factor is 90. So it's going to be x minus, and if you divide 1080 divided by 90, you get 12. Nice. This one comes out nice and easy and simple. The other one on your quiz comes out nice and simple as well. So here, my new greatest common factor, if y'all remember the triangle. So it's going to be x minus 12, which factors out, and you're left with 2x squared plus 90 equals 0. All right. Now you got to set each part equal to 0. Over here, this one is x minus 12 equals 0. Solve it, add 12. X equals 12 is one answer. Awesome. So here, next I want to take 2x squared plus 90 equals 0. Subtract 90 on both sides. So that's going to be, I'm going over here, 2x squared equals negative 90, divide by 2. And I got a little mess over here. X squared equals negative 45. Remember, if I'm going too fast, pause. Great idea. And then when you get here, you take the square root of both sides. X is equal to the square root of negative 45. Well, if you have the square root of a negative number, it's going to be imaginary. So when you're dealing with real world problems, you can stop on that part. So on this side of it, you'll say no solution. So my answer is only 12. That's it. So if x is 12, I want to go back to my original problem, and I need those dimensions, those outer dimensions. So my height is 12, which is this x. My width is 12, and my length is equal to 24. That's it for that one. So the one in your assessment tomorrow is just like this. All right, let's do another factoring problem example just to practice. Let me find one. Looks interesting. Let's go with x to the fourth minus x to the third minus 8x plus 8. Okay, first thing you want to do, notice it's 4 terms, factor by grouping. So I want to group first 2, last 2, leave that negative here. Don't put it in, just leave it the way it is here. Because if you put it outside, it actually makes it say something different. So my greatest common factor here is x cubed. I'm left with x minus 1. Over here, my greatest common factor is negative 8. So I'm left with x minus 1 as well. New greatest common factor, x minus 1. So it's x minus 1 times x cubed minus 8. That's it. Here's one I thought was interesting. 2x cubed minus 54. I said 54, wrote something different. Not crazy. All right, here we go. So with this one, I want to factor first. Look at this. And your first thought is always to see if you can factor out a GCF. GCF is the greatest common factor. So I look at this. Is there a greatest common factor? Yes. So I want to factor out 2. I'm left with x cubed minus, what's that? 54 divided by, it's 25, 26, 27. All right. Now this one is new. Another reason why I wanted to go over this, because it looks kind of special. Notice this is x cubed minus 27. This is called difference of cubes, and there's a formula for this. And I'm going to give you the formula tomorrow on the assessment, but you just got to know how to use it. That's why you got to watch the video. So this one, I can write this as x cubed minus what times what is 27? Well, visualize 3 times 3 is 9 times 3 is 27. So I can write that as 3 to the third. There's a formula for this. And the formula is, is a cubed minus b cubed is equal to, parentheses, a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. And that's going to be your formula. And I did that off the top of my head, so I'm going to go back and double check me. Yes, I am absolutely correct. And I'll put this formula on the test assessment tomorrow. So here, all you got to do now is just measure up what's your A and B and plug it in. So in this problem, my A is equal to X and my B is equal to 3. So now I'm going to take those values and I'm going to plug them in here. So this is X, A, 3B. So my factor would be X minus 3, parentheses, X squared plus 3X plus 3, which is B, 3 squared, which is 9. Set. I want to bring down this 2 because it was left on the outside, and this would be your final answer. That's it. Let's see if we need to do another one that's similar to that. I think that's it. This one looks interesting. X cubed plus, and by the way, I'm going to let you use these notes on the assessment. So that means, and if you listen to this part, that means you actually paid attention and watched the video. You'll have your notes ready when you take this assessment. Everybody else will not know what you're doing. So if you watch the video, I'm talking to you, you watch it to this point, you'll know to have your notes out only from this video for your assessment tomorrow. All right, let's keep going. So here, first thought, I would factor out your greatest common factor. Greatest common factor is X. If I factor out an X, I'm going to be left with X squared plus 4X plus 4. Next thought, greatest common, this one is a trinomial, normal trinomial that we've been doing earlier. 2 sets of parentheses, X and X. What times what is 4 that added to give you 4? Plus 2, X, bam. That's your answer. You could leave it here as far as your factors, or since you got X plus 2 squared, you can also write it like this, X plus 2 squared times X. Done. And I think that's enough. So to make a long story short, if you watch the video, you'll do great on the assessment. If not, then you might not do so great. All right, hopefully this helps.